What's going on, investors? Welcome to another monthly webinar here on BatchTV. My name is Kyle Redman, and today we have the pleasure of interviewing the one and only Shaun Young. So Shaun is a nationwide real estate investor, mentor, coach, and author with over 7 years of experience. Since 2016, Shaun has been wholesaling houses with the pursuit of simply creating financial freedom for himself and his family. Now, fast forward to today, Shaun has closed hundreds of deals by leveraging virtual assistants. He's also the author of Adventures in Wholesaling, Let Me Show You How, and he has a very successful podcast, the Nationwide Real Estate Mastery Podcast, that gives you actionable steps to finding your first or next deal. He's also coached to hundreds of students nationwide, and he owns a world-class virtual assistant company named REI World Solutions that we're going to dive into today to teach you guys about either hiring or people that need to learn how to scale with hires within their business. All right, so let's go ahead and break down today's agenda. First, I basically want to learn a little bit more about Shaun. We're going to ask him a couple questions about himself and his career. Then we are going to deep dive into these 5 major topics. The first one's going to be when you should consider your first hire. The second is going to be how to pick the right person for the job. The third is going to be what you should and shouldn't delegate. The fourth is why KPIs are extremely important for holding your team accountable. And the last one's going to be how to scale with virtual assistants. So if you're using virtual assistants or aren't, this is for everyone. And last but not least, I'm going to be wrapping it up with my final famous question. So with further ado, I give to you the one and only Shaun Young. What's going on, Shaun? How you doing?
What's up, man? Today we're going to have absolute blast, man. Thanks for that introduction, Kyle.
Yeah, of course, of course. So Shaun, I know I basically gave everybody a little bit of a glimpse of who you are, but I think everyone is dying to know how and why did you get started in the real estate investment space?
Great question, Kyle. Okay, guys, I come from corporate America. Like maybe a lot of you out there who are listening, I had a 9-to-5. I was a sales executive for about 12 years, top of the chain, top of the line, top 3% in the nation, actually. They decided to change their CEO one day. And that CEO decided that he wanted to bring in his sales staff, his project managers. So just like that, 750 of us were out of a job. Boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. So I told myself I would never be in that type of predicament again. And I heard that real estate was a great avenue to find financial freedom and to make a ton of money. So I said, hey, let me go ahead and see if I can get my feet wet with real estate investing.
Beautiful. Everybody, corporate America, right? I know a lot of people here probably have gone down the same path of having a traditional 9-to-5, and they wanted a way out to really create that financial freedom path for themselves and obviously provide more time, right? So what were some of your biggest learning experiences when you basically got started in real estate?
Well, first of all, guys, when I got started, I took a portion of my money and, like they say, you got to spend money to make money. So I went to one of these fancy seminars that travel around the country and they say, come see us, check us out, learn about real estate. I went, I got pumped up, got super excited. They ushered us to the back at the end of the meeting and said, whip out $30,000 or a credit card. We'll take either one. So I did that. I didn't know any better. I went through a whole year of not doing anything except for being a professional student. I thought either I must be the dumbest person trying to do this or this just isn't for me. I'm going back to corporate America. I gave myself 30 days. And I said, if I don't get a deal within 30 days, I'm getting a job. I've got responsibilities. I've got things to do. So guys, I made 8 phone calls after that. 6 people didn't answer. The 7th was a realtor. And the 8th phone call yielded me a $72,000 sandwich lease option deal, which was my interest into the real estate business.
So let's jump into this. Like, when do you really recommend for them to basically find their first hire or start thinking about getting their first hire?
Guys, you want to ask yourselves a couple of questions. First is, how much time in the day do you have available right now? Do you have time today right now? And if so, how much is that time? And do you think that that's enough time for you to be successful? Because if it's not, that's your answer right there. A lot of people say, well, maybe I should do the business for, a few months, maybe 6 months first before I hire my first hire. And there's some truth to that statement. But as Kyle just mentioned, the way that I like to say is that you want to jump in. You don't want to dip your foot into the pool to see how it feels. You want to jump in that water and get acclimated all at once. And it's the same way with the virtual assistants. If you go too far without getting a properly trained a virtual assistant or a company that's going to help you with that, you're setting yourself up for bad habits that you're going to translate over to your hire most likely. So I'd say get your virtual assistant, a properly trained one, as soon as you decide that this is the business that you want to do. So from day one, you need some help.
I agree. So walk us through this, like for the audience members who may not be familiar with virtual assistants, right? Talk us through why VAs can be a great place to start when building a team.
The term virtual assistant has a lot of different, connotations to it, but I just want you to know that these are employees. They're just employees that are not in a physical office. So you want to treat them just as an employee. You want to make sure that you have your SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, in place so that you can transfer those over to your VA. When your VA comes on board, you want to help them quickly get accustomed to your company's culture. You want to have, as much communication with them upfront as possible to determine if they're a good fit, and vice versa, if you're a good fit for them.
That's true. So what are a few ways that you screen these candidates, right? Because that is a big process. Like I've heard of just within our business, right? We'll go from 150 virtual assistant applications. We'll boil that down to like 40 applications. And then we'll boil that down to another 10 applications. And then actually that's when we'll look at them, right? So we'll have a virtual assistant actually boil that process down to 10. And then we'll look at them and then we'll say, okay, let's hire these 4 people for the job, knowing that the other 3 aren't going to be good and one is going to stand out the most. So that's like kind of our process. But what is like your screening process of doing this?
When you're screening, the main thing that we do is we first have them take an assessment test. What do they know about our industry? Then we have them take an English test, an English assessment test. And it's a free service out there that anyone can utilize, speechace.com, but it helps us get a good gauge of where their English is at. Next, we want to make sure that their personality is in line with our company's goals and our company's vision. We also make them do a PC requirement test. We want to make sure that their computer is up to speed, they've got good internet connection, and that they have a backup should anything happen or go down, because that's another huge factor. Then we have an initial interview. After they pass those first 2 sections, then we have an initial interview and a role play. We actually have a mock call and have them go through an actual process. If they pass that part, then we do a final interview before we allow them into our fold to actually share with our clientele.
So when it comes to delegating, right? I know a lot of people probably have this question. So when you're going to leverage a virtual assistant, what are the right tasks and the wrong tasks to delegate?
I do see a lot of people who kind of fumble and fail with that because they'll do exactly what you said. They'll hire on a virtual assistant and kind of throw everything at them, and they kind of expect them to do everything from cold calling to admin tasks to following up. And it's just not possible. Yes, someone could handle those tasks, but you got to work them into that. My suggestion as a first hire is get you a cold caller. Get someone that can help you with cold calling and help you with small admin tasks. You're still going to be the administrator and the manager of your company, but you definitely need someone to help you with that outreach. Right now, with tools like Batch Dialer, you've got people who are absolutely crushing it with the dialer. They're crushing it with the dialer. So you've got to be able to keep up with the latest and greatest technology, and having the ability to have someone who can be focused on a dialer, for 4 to 8 hours a day is crucial for you. So I say the first hire or the very first step is to ensure that you have the ability to allow your dialer to dial as much as possible.
So let's kind of elaborate a little bit more on SOPs here.
So if you're a brand spanking new, you would probably say to yourself, well, how would I have any standard? I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks. That's where finding a really good virtual assistant company comes in place, because a good virtual assistant company should actually be able to sit down with you and help you design standard operating procedures, even from day one, because there's some basics that all of us have to go through that own and operate wholesaling companies or even creative real estate businesses. It's all pretty much the same. So having standard operating procedures up front is going to be crucial. And if you don't have those in place, finding a company that can help you create those from day one, it's going to be crucial for your success.
Nice. Yeah. And something that can help everybody, like Traineal is a really good software where you could basically have the entire onboarding process, SOPs, accountabilities, and KPIs all within one place. So they know exactly what you need to do. And having like a system like that, or utilizing another company like Shaun's company, that will really help you with scalability. Because look, at the end of the day, everyone you hire is I promise you they're not going to work out, right?
Indeed.
It happens. Like you have people, you put a lot of energy into them and they're just not the right fit, or they're just not right fit for the culture. So it's always good to have everything in one place so that you can just duplicate individuals over and over and over again. And that's going to create scalability within your business, right? So I recommend Trainio as a good one out there. You can also use, like, for people that don't want to buy software, you can use like Google. So KPIs, let's jump into this. We all know KPIs are extremely important for any real estate business, right? What are your standard KPIs for your VAs? And I know there's a lot of different KPIs, right? But let's just go into like standard KPIs for VAs. And then like, what are some maybe standard KPIs for dialing as well?
So I'm going to give you guys some basics on creating KPIs, because you cannot have the wrong expectation from day one. A lot of folks do go into the business and they hear other people talking about KPIs, and then they're like, hey, I've hired somebody and they've worked me one day today and I didn't get any leads today. I didn't get any deals. So the way that I want you guys to look at it is it takes us about 50 to 75 leads to get a deal. All right. So 50 to 75 leads gets us a deal. How many calls or dials does it take to get us one lead? It could take us 200 to 300 dials to get us that lead. So everything translates into numbers. That's why Kyle said that's how we're able to scale it. So if we know that 300 to 400 dials or 200 to 400 dials gets us a lead, we need to be making that many more dials to get us that many more leads. It's so easy to scale, but you don't want to set yourself up again with the wrong expectations, or if you're using the wrong tools. Let's say you're not using a great dialer like Batch. You're using a dialer that's more limited. It doesn't allow you for some reason to make the calls per hour that Batch allows you to dial. Then you're going to look at someone else's KPIs and say, man, their guys were doing 300 calls an hour. My guy's only doing 100. All right, well, you got to get the latest and greatest. So creating your KPIs, it's an ongoing process. You want to have standards and you want to have a baseline, but you want to make sure that it's in line with reality as well. And things are always changing.
So what I'd like to dive into is like, what is the benefits of working with a staffing agency like yours?
Our company here at REI World Solutions, the best part about it for all of our lists is that they are batch certified virtual assistants. For one, they're all batch certified. So all of batch tools, batch leads, batch dialer, they're 100% certified on navigating through that. So the benefit from working with a company like ours is that we do all the heavy lifting for you. We go out there, do all the screening. We make sure that all the requirements are in place, that, the English is where it needs to be. And then we match that VA's skill set with your requirements. So we're not just cookie cuttering, giving you any VA. We're making sure that we're matching the needs of you with the skill set of our VA. We sit down with you and we have an onboarding session, determine what you need, match that to our VAs. Within 48 hours, you've got a VA. We have what's called an onboarding process with the virtual assistant, the virtual assistant's trainer, and the virtual assistant's manager, and yourself, all in a Zoom setting. That way, everyone gets to know everyone. You get to know that we're here to support your success. We don't just throw you a VA and said, hey, pay us once a week. No, we actually work as like an HR department for you. So we let you know, hey, if you have any issues, this is how you contact us. This is how you make your payments each week. We make sure that the process for you is to focus on growing your business. Let us focus on managing, that VA for you, of course, with your assistance. But that's really what we do, is we focus on helping you be able to grow your business.
So I want to get into some questions here. Let's see. What responsibilities are you giving to your first VA?
First things we want them to get involved with is cold calling, managing our CRM. So from day one, all VAs are going to know how to navigate through your CRM. They're going to handle your cold calling. They're going to handle your follow-ups, and they're going to handle sending out agreements for you as well. So basically the entire process to get you to get an assigned agreement, that VA will handle for you.
Got it. What software are you using to communicate with your virtual assistants?
We use Slack, and we also recommend that our clients use Slack as well. It's a free tool, super easy to use, super user-friendly. You can communicate just back and forth with chat, or you can use video or text in that as well. So I love it. Great tool.
I got a good question for you. So we monitor our assistants as well. So do you do screen monitoring, and do you monitor the URLs that they're on while they're at the work time?
Yep, we actually do that. We monitor the VA. We can monitor at any time. We also do random recordings. We give that access to our client also. We let them know that we also are monitoring this, but we also give it to the client from day one so that we're all involved with the monitoring process. And it's not so much like, hey, so we can catch you. It's so that, hey, if we find calls that, going over 3 minutes or something, let's pull those so we can go over them. Let's discuss what happened. So we always use it as a positive. It's never anything negative, like, so we can catch you doing anything.
How do you find a good mentor? I really need one to help me set up my business.
For me, I found someone, and I coach students all over the country as well. I found someone who I could resonate with. Is this guy someone who I could talk to for the next 6 months or next year? Or am I going to get on his nerves? Am I going to ask him too many questions? All those things are things that you want to know. You want to make sure that someone has achieved the goals that you want to achieve, someone who's been there, done that. You don't want to necessarily find someone who's not proven or tried and true, because it could lead you to frustration and giving up and quitting. And this industry is for anybody who wants to get involved. You just need to have the proper steps and know which path to go down. And a good mentor or coach will definitely help you with that.
I mean, Shaun's a coach, right? Shaun's unique because he has a wholesaling business and he has a virtual assistant business. So he knows how to connect both worlds, right?
Yes.
And he's still in the trenches doing it. A lot of people that I basically run into basically are not running their wholesaling business anymore, or they have people that are doing it for them. Well, they're basically a spokesperson and creating coursework all the time,
Yes.
right? So Shaun's in the trenches doing it, and he knows the process like the back of his hand, which is great. So I think Shaun's a great mentor. Now, a lot of people are asking, like, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get in touch with you? What's the name of your podcast? What's the best way for people to reach you?
The name of the podcast is Nationwide Real Estate Mastery. That's the name of the podcast. If you want to get a hold of me, guys, visit reiworldsolutions.com. All of my contact information to reach us is all right there on the website for us. And of course, I'm on all the social media platforms under Nationwide Real Estate Mastery, YouTube channel, TikTok, all that good stuff. I'm out there, guys. Got a ton of followers. I help a lot of people out here. So don't hesitate to reach out or be afraid to contact me. You don't have to, pay me for a phone call necessarily. Like, if you've heard me here with Kyle today, just let me know, hey, I saw you with Kyle. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and help you out, because I know how important it is, especially if you're getting started, to have the right people around you. It's crucial. And to have the right focus. You can't focus on results from day one. You guys got to focus on being consistent. Consistency will build your momentum, and the momentum will create you the results and get you what you need. That's what Kyle mentioned earlier. He says, Shaun is consistent. That's why I have results, because I just do the same things over and over. We just make sure that we're staying on track, and we add a little bit to it to make it better, but it's the same thing over and over.
There is no better feeling in life when you have everything laid out and you can just continue to go through that process every single time and duplicate, right? I feel like when you're just starting out a business, it's like everything's everywhere. It's chaos. When you're able to be consistent with a proven process and duplicate it over and over and over again, that's when you're getting deals. That's when you're scaling. And there is no better feeling than that, right? Waking up every single day and saying, how can I duplicate this process over and over again? Because I know I'm going to yield X, Y, and Z, which is huge. So Shaun, if you were to leave one piece of advice behind for all the entrepreneurs out there, what words of advice would you leave?
Take massive imperfect action. Fail your way forward. Do not wait for all the lights to be green between here and your destination, which is your goal. As soon as that first light turns green, you got to go, and have faith that by the time you get to that next light, you'll know exactly what to do when you get there.
Wow, that gave me chills. Well,
sir.
Thank you so much, Shaun. That was a blessing. Thank you so much. And can't wait to have you back on again. And till next time, everybody out there in Batch community, let's get it.